2024 has so far seen the retirement of my favorite content creator, the retirement of my second favorite content creator, the death of Akira Toriyama, creator of my favorite IP, and the realization that my family's living expenses may dramatically increase if we don't sell our home and move by the end of April, something that shook me so hard that I took nearly 2 weeks off of YouTube. Now, I will talk about Legends ZA next week, don't worry about that, but today I need to shake the negativity cobwebs out of my head so I can get back to my positive content. This is going to be very similar to the 10 things I hate about Pokemon video I did last year, but with a lot less lighthearted fun and jokes and a lot more genuine irritation. And so with that maddening introduction out of the way, my name is Elite Trainer Kenway, and here are 5 ways that Pokemon disrespects its fans. Number 5, now you see me, now you don't. So what in the absolute hell is this? From day one, Pokemon has been centered around catching them all, but we've practically never been able to legitimately catch them all. Right off the bat in Generation 1, Mew was only available via a fucking hack. In Generation 2, they forgot to put in Celebi, only to fix that error retroactively with Virtual Console. With Generation 3, they removed the gotta catch 'em all tagline because they realized how fucking impossible it was. Arceus couldn't be caught legitimately in Generation 4, and the same goes for Victini in Generation 5. Volcanion, Hoopa, Marshadow, Zeraora, and Zarude were only available for a limited time in Generation 6, 7, and 8 respectively. But one common thread amongst all of these is that they're all mythical Pokemon and they're not technically necessary in order to complete the Pokedex. Mythical Pokemon are supposed to be these ultra rare Pokemon that are super difficult to obtain, so I understand that, kind of. But why all of a sudden in Generation 9 do we have Walking Wake and Iron Leaves to deal with? Walking Wake and Iron Leaves were Paradox Pokemon that you had exactly 3 opportunities to catch. Sounds good, right? Well, what if some kid gets into Pokemon in Generation 10 and decides to go back to catch all the Pokemon from Gen 9? It's maddening that they didn't program these 2 Pokemon in Area 0 for the Indigo Disc DLC, which brings me to number 4, DLC version exclusives. No, seriously, fuck this. Fuck all of this. Now look, I know that Pokemon has always had version exclusives. That's not a secret. From random early route Pokemon like Ekans and Arbok to legendary Pokemon like Zekrom and Reshiram. We expect around a dozen or so version exclusives as incentives to buy both games. When the Sword and Shield DLC was first announced, we all had the same collective thought. Please do not put version exclusives in the DLC. And thankfully, they didn't. Kubfu can evolve into both forms of Urshifu regardless of what version you're playing, and the same with Galarian Slowpoke. We also got to choose which steed to hunt down for Calyrex, and if you wanted both, it was as simple as starting a new save file. But when Generation 9's DLC came to town, Pokemon essentially told us that they're going to hold Gouging Fire, Raging Bolt, Iron Boulder, and Iron Crown hostage behind both DLC packs. Many kids only get 1 copy of each game. I know I did. I didn't start getting both versions of each game until Generation 8. For anyone who purchased the Hidden Treasure of Area 0 DLC for Scarlet only, they should have some way to access Iron Boulder and Iron Crown, even if it were just an online raids. Anything would be better than the, oh, you only bought one of the DLCs? Well, f*** you, give us some more money path that Pokemon seems to be taking right now. If you bought a DLC for either game, then all of the new Pokemon should be available in that DLC. Number 3, is that an item in your pocket or are you just happy to see me? You know what? Disagree if you want, but I have to say it. There are too many single-use evolution items. As of Generation 9, there are over 30 items that can be used to evolve one specific Pokemon, and that's not counting the 7 different Milcery suites. Hey, do you want to evolve that shiny Sinistea you just spent 8 days grinding for? Well, first you have to figure out if it's authentic or phony, then you have to hope that you have the right item to evolve it into the right form. Do you want to evolve your shiny Poltergeist? Well, that's 2 different forms with 2 different evolutionary items. Oh, you want to give malicious armor to the Charcadet you just caught in Scarlet? Well, you should have bought Violet instead. There are way too many items that only work to evolve one Pokemon, and many of them are limited to 1 item per save file, meaning that you either have to start a new save file or trade with someone else. It is a monumental waste of time for anyone looking to complete their living decks. Number 2. What does this button do? Honestly, this is probably the least egregious item on this list and probably should have been listed at number 5. But why does every single game have a different button set up? No, seriously, take the map for example. To open the map in Legends Arceus, you have to press the minus button on the left Joy-Con. In Sword and Shield, you have to press X to open the menu and then open the map. If you're playing Scarlet and Violet, it's the Y button for some reason. In BDSP, it's the menu again. And then in the Let's Go games, you have to open your menu, then open your bag, and then open the map. You have 5 different games from the same IP with 5 different sets of buttons for just opening the damn map, making it incredibly frustrating for anyone who's been playing Scarlet Violet for the last few weeks, but wants to hop back over to Legends Arceus to do some shiny hunting. And that's not even talking about flying around the map, because that's a whole different setup for each and every game. I don't care if it's Game Freak's A team making the game, Game Freak's B team making the game, or Ilka making the game. The controls should be roughly the same for each fucking game. Oh, and speaking of shiny hunting, number 1, I like this. Do you have it in any other colors? What is the point of shiny locking Pokemon? I hate shiny locked Pokemon so goddamn much. Again, I kind of understand shiny locking mythicals. I hate it to my very core, but I kind of understand it. But why were Zacian and Zamazenta shiny locked in Generation 8? Why was Eternatus shiny locked in Generation 8? Why were Cupfu, Calyrex, and the Steeds shiny locked in Generation 8? Why did Game Freak shiny lock Cosmog and Cosmoem in Generation 7, and then give us shiny Solgaleo and Lunala in Generation 8, and then shiny lock them again in Generation 9? And we still don't have access to shiny Cosmog and Cosmoem. Why to any of this? If you watched my video a couple of weeks ago, you know that I have spent well over $1,000 on my Pokemon collection, and it absolutely baffles me that no matter how much I spend, no matter how many games that I play, there are certain Pokemon that I will never have as shinies. There are certain Pokemon that you will never have as shinies. I kind of get it with the mythicals. It sucks, but I get it. But there are absolutely no reason the Treasures of Ruin should be shiny locked. Game Freak, do you want us to spend more time playing your games? Then let us decide which Pokemon are worth shiny hunting. And what's this shit about Gimmighoul? Its shiny form was only available in a raid for 1, maybe 2 weekends, I can't remember, and has been shiny locked ever since. There is literally nothing special about Gimmighoul that warrants it being shiny locked. It doesn't even have a good shiny. And bonus entry number 0, whose home is this? Why did it take 6 goddamn months after Scarlet Violet released for Pokemon Home to get adaptability for those games? The only answer I can come up with is that maybe Game Freak didn't want to give its new designs to Ilka before the Gen 9 Pokemon were actually released. But then, why did it take months for BDSP to get compatibility for Home? Ilka made both BDSP and Pokemon Home. Why was BDSP not compatible with Home on day 1? There was literally no new Pokemon added to BDSP that wasn't already in Pokemon Home. And what the absolute shit was going on with Spinda? Neither the Spinda you catch in BDSP or the Spinda you catch in Pokemon Go can be sent to Pokemon Home. You have to go all the way back to Oras if you want to get this early route useless ass Pokemon for your collection. And that's assuming you can even find a 3DS with Pokemon Bank already installed. How did Ilka f*** up Spinda so badly? Pokemon is supposed to be a kid's game. It's supposed to be fun, and it just sometimes feels like the Pokemon Company genuinely hates us. And that's pretty much it. There are a ton of things that I left out, so feel free to drop your biggest issue with Game Freak, the Pokemon Company, Ilka, or Creatures Inc. down in the comments below. Hell, while you're down there, drop your biggest complaint about me and this channel also. It's been a rough couple of weeks, and I needed to get some of these frustrations off my chest. If you stuck around this long, I really appreciate it. I plan on being back with my trademark positivity next week. I hope you guys have an awesome week, and I'll talk to you again soon. Peace.